Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, Japanese, and I'm talking about my English language arts class right now. 32 students, because I've got 36 in all my other classes. Come talk to me about this stuff. Help me with these crazy ideas. Wayground, Game Changers, Minecraft Teachers Lounge, Minecraft Education Ambassadors, Roxem, Duolingo Educators Network, Teacher Excellence Lounge, World Language Teachers Lounge, or Art in Spanish class are all places that I hang out. And NASEF too. NASEF is a Discord thing. Alright, so in our last episode I was telling you how I got in my head this crazy idea for, I'm doing the Crucible and the students just aren't engaged with it. How am I going to get them engaged? I know the Crucible is all about a crazy trial. Let's have a crazy trial. And I went to my colleagues, and no one had ever done it before, so I had to do all the research on myself. And I talked about how low my bar is. I just want the students to be touching the text. I just want them saying the lines, the big lines that they think are important. I want them thinking about the themes. I don't really care. I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter to me if they like it or not. But if they have fun in the mock trial, that'll kind of rub off into their writing. And then even if they hate the book, they can get really into hating the book, but I just want to get them engaged. That's the whole thing. That's the only reason I do this. All right, so I did all this research on mock trials and how to conduct them and everything. And in the end, I decided it doesn't really matter because I'm not teaching law. I'm teaching text analysis. I'm teaching how to pick a story apart and what parts do you like and what parts do you don't like. And so the actual rules of a trial are hugely secondary to me. This has to be more like a Matlock trial, where it's going to be fake for the cameras. And the actual stuff I don't really care about, all right? Because it's not in my wheelhouse. It's not what I'm trying to teach. It's not my goal. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not my goal. So I just want to get the feeling of a trial. I want the students to know that they have to rise when the bailiff comes in. I have to have them know that the presiding people have to say order in the court. For the Crucible, I really want them to understand that our whole idea of law has changed. There's a lot of stuff in the Crucible that we would say is inadmissible evidence. This whole invisible witchcraft idea. The fact that one person can say, oh, my wife never lies. She would never in a million years lie. And that is now a fact in the courthouse that this wife is incapable of lying. All right, so there's a lot that wouldn't stand in court nowadays. And so I just wanted my students to have the trappings of, okay, it's going to feel like a court. I've set up the tables in the classroom, which was hard to do because I've got so many tables. But they're set up like a courtroom. And you're going to come in, it's going to feel different, and you're going to be acting different. But it's not a real courtroom. This is a play. So every day, the students would come in, and I would remind them who the characters were. And the way I was doing Reader's Theater to get everyone involved is it was kind of a random thing of anyone who wants to read John Proctor, come sit at this table group. Anyone who wants to be Rebecca Nurse, come sit at this table group. And then decide what order you're reading the lines in. And that would keep everyone on their toes so that no one was going to sleep. And no one was like spacing out while other people were reading and stuff. And it works really great for like 4 days. But then suddenly everyone starts asking you to go to the bathroom in the middle. And it's like, well, you're missing your lines because you're supposed to read the next line. And my school has a very lenient bathroom policy. So anyway, regardless, now with the mock trial in mind, I was able to say, all right, as you're reading, so today you said you wanted to be Ezekiel Cheever. As you're reading, if you're like, oh, that would be really fun for the mock trial, call dibs on that character. Call dibs on that character now, and I won't let anyone else read it. And that got at least maybe half the class, maybe 16 people really invested in the lines, whereas last year I had maybe 4 people invested in the lines. Oh, last year I had this great moment. I just have to tell you. I had this student that he is a wonderful teddy bear, but I'll tell you, a lot of the other people in the school kind of complain about him because he's wired differently. He's wired very, very differently. And it turned out um, that he just has this great flair for acting, and people just really ate him up when he was reading Reverend Paris, and he put on the British accent, and nobody expected him to put on the British accent because he's been ostracized his whole life for being wired differently, but oh, he was so great. And so that was a high point. But anyway, so this time people were they were calling dibs on characters, and they were getting invested in the characters. And once they realized they had an angle on somebody, they didn't want anybody else to take it, so they'd call dibs early. So that worked well. I didn't assign anybody. I let the students choose it all. Okay. When we had the big mock trial, I gave them a graphic organizer, and I tried to give them a lot of space, and I also gave them blank paper stapled to this because I knew they'd run out of space. But I was like, okay, just anything juicy that you think you're going to want to throw in your essay, which is going to put people in jail, write it down. Or anything that you say, oh, I want to defend that person, just, it doesn't have to be verbatim, but just write some notes because, this was all oral, so it didn't have to be verbatim. Just, Reverend Samuel Paris said that he wanted to go dancing in the forest, whatever happened. So they could write it whatever. And then I also had them a column of played by, so because I knew that they'd forget, oh, who's Tituba again? Oh, okay. Bob is playing Tituba. So, okay, Bob's line right here. Okay. So I knew that they would connect more with the classmates than with the actual characters. All right. I gave everybody cards. Okay. So I had printed out, I thought long and hard about this all summer long. Whoever was going to play Abby was going to get a stack of cards. Here, you have 7 cards. Okay. At certain points during the trial, say what's on the card and turn it in. Now, this was the basic top of the card stack. Okay, this is the write-up just to remind the person what the character was. And I was very glib here. A lot of you, like really serious English teachers, you're going to say, well, why are you putting these judgment calls in here? I wanted the students to really get into it. And I want them to have fun with it. So I decided to be really, really glib with the descriptions, okay? Then, again, I went to SparkNotes, and I'm like, okay, these are the quotes that SparkNotes thinks are important. And I just printed up some of the main things that I thought would be really fun in a trial. I mean, some of the quotes aren't going to work in a trial, okay? Some of the soliloquies to the audience, some of the... I did put in a couple of things of Elizabeth Proctor talking to John. I'm like, say this to John, but don't let the judges hear you, but say it in a stage whisper, But you'll notice here, I've numbered all the cards so that the student knows, oh, okay, I still have some cards left. I have to turn these in. And also, for me, when I get them back, I can put them back in order and say, oh, you never turned in card number 4. Okay. So here's John Proctor. Here's a line from him. And again, this is his 4 out of 7, At a certain point during the trial, say what's on the card and turn it in. Because I knew it was going to be hard for the students to keep their focus. And, I actually am taking a page from Dungeons and Dragons here, okay? There's sometimes, especially my husband, who is a wonderful dungeon master, if something happens, he'll write out something on a card and hand it to a person and say, you've got to say this at this point, or, maybe whose line is it anyway? You've got the cards, you got the slips of paper in your pocket, and you have to pull them out and work them into what you're saying. So that's where I'm coming from with all this, to kind of keep everything on the rails and make sure that the students are indeed discussing these crucial lines from the play. Okay, here's Reverend Paris. I got really, like, oh, the shame if the townspeople ever found out. I want them to really get into it. Okay, Rebecca Nurse. Now you notice that the main people, Abby and John, had 7 cards. Rebecca Nurse, I said, whoever chooses Rebecca Nurse, she's got 5 cards. Okay, there's 5 things I really want Rebecca Nurse to say during the trial. I don't know what's going to happen in the trial. I don't know which way it's going to go, but there's 5 quotes from the play that I desperately want Rebecca Nurse to say. if she says anything else after that, that's gravy. Thomas Putnam. I wanted whoever got the Thomas Putnam card to understand that he's kind of a jerkwad. Okay, he had 6 cards because he had a lot of jerky stuff to say. All right, and then I also, for all the cards, I gave the students an opportunity to find their own quotes that I hadn't. And so I gave them we had like 2 or 3 research days where I'm like, okay, you have chosen that you are going to be Judge Danforth. I'm going to give everybody 15 minutes right now. Look over your text, and if you're Judge Danforth, look for good lines that you think you want to put into the trial. Giles Corey, you better be thinking about how you want to defend yourself. All right, look in the text. What have we read already that you think could defend you? And then made sure that they wrote it down in their interactive notebooks, and then they could transfer it to here on the big day. Okay, and then I knew that there was going to be some students who absolutely did not want to choose a major character. I knew that there were going to be some students who wanted to be wallflowers. And so, hey, guess what? You can be the peanut gallery. That's really important in the Crucible because there's a lot of people going crazy. Okay, so I have cards for Abby's friends, and I as I counted up the people in the class and then the number of characters in the book, I decided I'm going to have 5 Abby friends and 5 townspeople. Okay, so the Abby friends have to be either, okay, whenever there's anything going on in the trial that you don't like, you need to shout out that you see invisible ghosts up to no good, you see the devil whispering in their ear, you grab a body part and claim the witness has sent their spirit to hurt you, or you admit that the person testifying was dancing naked in the forest with you and then drank chicken blood. All right, and I actually also, I talked to a couple other teachers, a couple of my colleagues, and I said, okay, you've got these thespians in your class in 6th period, and they had me for English last year, so they read the Crucible. Could I borrow them for maybe 15 minutes of the trial so they could come in and do some of the shouting, which will get those shy people in my class involved? And it did work. That was great. So I was happy that my colleagues let me borrow those students. Okay, so again, they still had 5 times that they had to scream out in the middle of the trial and then turn in the card to me. And that was how I held them accountable, by turning in the card. Oh my gosh, I'm at 12 minutes. I'm going to keep going. I'm almost done. Okay. Here's the townspeople one. Okay. So you're entertained by going to the courtroom. You're going to have to scream, ooh. You're going to have to shout out preposterous. Won't somebody think of the children? That was their favorite thing to shout, of course. So that was really good. That kept everybody involved. Okay. Then I wanted to really get them invested, and I don't want to ever deny someone for being over-invested. And it seems to me that this is a really good opportunity for bonus points. Now, once upon a time, I had a principal who hated bonus points, and I found that the way I use them, I did not want to stop using them, so I snuck them in 6 ways from Sunday, and I still do that. Okay, I think bonus points are very important. That's how I keep my high flyers going while I differentiate for the students who need a little more support at the bottom. So anyway, I mean, like, nobody's competing with each other on the bonus points. They're competing with themselves on the bonus points. And some students want to take things in a different direction, and that's fine if they're thinking outside the box. I'm going to reward them. So that's how the differentiation. I love the differentiation. Okay. So I gave them the opportunity to do our research times. We had little, like 15-minute research times. If there's something that you desperately want to say during the trial that you think would be a really good idea, write it down, turn this in. I will give you a bonus point for it. Oh, the big day. See, I'm almost done. Okay. I was really pleased. I had some of my students were so invested, they came in cosplay. They dressed up. This is Abby and John Proctor right here. And they were just great. They dressed up. They played the part. They stood up and screamed at each other, and it was great. I had 2 other people. I didn't take a picture of them. Mr. and Mrs. Putnam, 2 best buddies. Really tall guy and really, I mean, like, they were both guys, and they wanted to be Mr. and Mrs. Putnam because they thought it would be funny, and they decided and they asked me beforehand, can we sell each other out? And they were like, they had that twinkle in their eyes, and I was like, they're going to be looking for actual lines in the play where they can sell each other out. And, I don't know. They're hard to come by, right? Because they're a married couple. But yeah, sure, you can sell each other out. That's fine. So they were accusing each other of witchcraft in the play. Remember, my bar is really low. My bar is, I want you to know a couple of the quotes from the play and play with them in some way. And I want you to be invested in what we're doing. That's my bar, okay? So the fact that they were backstabbing each other made everybody else get more into it because they thought it was a hoot also. So that was great. After, I'm going to speed through. After the mock trial, I gave everybody a graphic organizer. And for our essay, I said, you can use things that came up in the trial. So if you really want to talk about the Putnams betraying each other, that's fine. You still have to do the claim, evidence, reasoning. You're now quoting from the trial. So this is how you cite for the trial. And I know you might be like a real diehard English teacher, and you might say, oh my gosh, what the heck are you doing, you crazy woman? I'm sorry. I love literature. You gotta believe me, I love literature, but I also love it when people are silly with literature because it means they're really getting into it. So yes, anything that happened in the trial, they could use in their essay. And some of their essays were really good. For claim, evidence, reasoning, even though the students have been working on that since 3rd grade, they still have a difficult time. This is 11th grade here. And so I use this sentence frame because, but, and it's supposed to be so, but I find that so sends the students to the wrong meaning of the word so. I'm a linguist here. All right, so instead I use therefore. And this comes from The Writing Revolution by Judith Hochman and Natalie Hexler. And I don't even have 2.0. I have the first version of it because I can't afford 2.0. But anyway, this is the frame I use, and that's really good for them, I think. I got a lot of good, solid claims. The ones who turned it in. So, was it a success? Yeah, the students were really involved. Did all the students turn in essays? No, even though we had classroom writing time, even though I helped them write it one paragraph at a time in their interactive notebooks, that was part of our daily writing prompt. And then I'd say, okay, it's time to write your essay. Guess what? All those daily writing prompts we were doing, those can go into your essay. Even still, I haven't had everyone turn it in yet. Now, during the mock trial, I was shocked. My jaw hit the floor because no less than 7 people in the class thought that, as it came up in the mock trial, they thought that there was a physical book that people were writing names in to give to the devil. And I had not expected this. And the only reason this came out, this misunderstanding came out, is because we were doing a mock trial. If we were just going straight to an essay, the writing somebody's name in a book would never come up in an essay. And it would never come up as, this is an idiom, this is figurative language, this is this mythological concept that they have. It never would have come up in the essay. And it certainly didn't come up last year, but now I'm thinking, I'll bet I had students last year who thought that there was a physical book that people were writing names in. So I'm really glad I did the mock trial, because I got to see all sorts of ideas that the students had that just aren't coming out in writing, especially when you say, here is your prompt, it has to be about conformity versus nonconformity. So I'm really glad I did the mock trial, and I'm really sorry. I thought this was going to be 2 10-minute videos, not one 20-minute video. So please make the pitch fast. Talk to me. Help me with this stuff. I need to bounce ideas off of people. You saw how sad I was when I went to my colleagues saying, I'm going to do a mock trial. What can you tell me about mock trials? And nobody could tell me anything about mock trials. So please talk to me about crazy ideas. I will end it there. Hope to see you on the next one.